I am super excited to say that the only reason I am able to even come out with this episode is the sponsor of today's episode. So, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it is one of the greatest things to use to make a podcast. First, it's free. Second, they have all these tools that you can use to record, edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. I do it from my phone because it's much easier. I literally just bought one of those mics from the Apple store, plug it in, and now I just talk and it's great. Also, you can distribute the podcast wherever you want. Anchor does that for you. It can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I think Stitcher, so many other places. And you can make money from the podcast. And yeah, you can start it right away with an advertisement like this. So make sure you download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It is everything you need to make podcasts in one place.
What's up, everybody? It's Dante, aka the Forensics Guy, and you are listening to the Forensics Experience, the podcast where we discuss topics in the speech and debate community with the world's most influential coaches, students, and alumni in the activity. And today I am super, super excited. I have probably one of my favorite people on earth. I mean, this dude is to me, like, honestly, like, I can't even think, like, he's gonna be the next Chris Rock. That's literally what I think when I hear this man, because he's hilarious. But I want to talk a little bit today about my boy Simmuel Curry, aka Gosimmie. Make sure you follow him on TikTok. He's trying to get to 3 million. He's close, man. Make sure you follow him. But I am excited to introduce him. Simmuel, feel free to introduce yourself to the community. Tell us a little bit about what you do and your impact on the forensics community.
Okay, my name's Gosimmie, and honestly, I started off on TikTok last year. I knew what I wanted to do from the get-go. I started doing comedy. I started like working my way into it, but along the lines, I started doing skits and stuff like that because, you know, I was influenced by a couple of creators like King Bader, Straw Hat Dan, like King Batch, all of them, and they kind of like made me want to reach for my goals. Back in high school, I actually was like the shyest person ever. Like, when I tell you I was shy, like how I am now, you would not know me. You would not know me back then. I didn't want to like speak in front of like people, but then I joined the theater program in high school. Then I joined speech and debate, and you know, I joined Duo Interp. Duo Interp is actually one of my favorite categories, and I always wanted to try humorous intern, but my coach always wanted me to stay in duo intern because he felt this suited me better. But, you know, eventually I'm going to try humorous intern because, like, it looks so fun. Like, it looks so fun. But, yeah, forensics has had, like, a big impact on me. When I tell you it did. Like, I'm telling you, like, it really laid the pressure down on you to, like basically when you're performing a 10-minute piece, the pressure is on when everybody's watching you and the judge is watching you. So even if for a line, you gotta keep going. Like until you get to a part where you know what you're doing. Don't ever break character, stuff like that. And I feel like that's helped me with TikTok a whole lot. Like one time I tested myself. I had actually recorded a TikTok. I just sat it down, hit the 3, 2, 1 button. And then I improv for 59 seconds. Don't break out of improv. 50.
That's awesome. That's what I'm talking about. That's so cool. I was actually going to ask you that. That was going to be one of my first questions is, you know, the forensics world is so different than TikTok. You know, even though, like you said, you can have opportunities where you do the improv for like 59 seconds. But, you know, for most TikTokers, especially at the caliber that you're at, a lot of it is recorded, it's pre-thought out, you're kind of figuring out what's going to be, you know, a mixture of, is this going to go viral, is this going to be entertaining, how am I able to use my skills to make this happen? So what's some of the biggest things that you've noticed in the version of short form comedy, basically, or videos versus the idea of what you had to do in forensics?
Okay, so listen. So you talking about short films as in on TikTok, like with forensics?
I would say short films as in TikTok. Or I probably the best term I would call is like micro films. I feel like a short film is probably like 15 minutes, and then like I guess a micro film is like a TikTok for like 1 minute, 2 minutes, something like that.
Okay, so the biggest struggle you will ever have on TikTok with trying to do what you do and bring it to TikTok is, you know how when you're performing a piece, there's like a lead up all the way to the middle point where it's like very dramatic, and then there's an end. You have to chop that 100%. You got to get straight to the point. Like, that's how TikTok is. Straight to the point, or you will lose their interest just like that. Like, I learned, like, in TikTok, say, if the climax was, hey, I hit my mom with the car today, you have to start the video off with that. So I hit my mom with the car today. Listen, then you go straight into the story. And then, boom, just like that. You got them hooked, and then you tell them about the story within, like, 40 seconds, and then you finish up. And that's how I hit my mom with the car today, blah, 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 you know?
That's such a good point, especially because you only have that short amount of time. Like the punchline is automatically there. Like you can't fit anything else into a literal minute of activity, which is really interesting. I think I think it would be so cool to have like a category that could be similar to like micro kind of performance or microfilms. Maybe give kids like,
man, that would,
like, yeah, I think that would be really cool. I would love to do that, you know, because for those who are listening, everybody knows my podcast, Forensics Forever, which is the organization that we run that does speech and debate for younger students, especially K through 8. I'm looking at new categories to implement, especially right now with the online thing and just seeing how that works. So I think that's a really great category. It's actually something that I'll talk to you about after. But yeah, that's a really interesting idea. So my next question is, with TikTok, I think that probably the most interesting thing I've seen for most people, at least from like, I know a decent amount about TikTok, but not everything. But I hear so many people that's like, oh man, she or he blew up, and like they literally were at like 100 followers, and next thing you know, 45 million and stuff. Like, what do you think? In your case specifically, because you said you've only been on for a year. I mean, like, some of us, we've been on since like Musically, and you know, people, we still got 50 followers. So like, what is it that you think really was so different that was able to get a ton of people into it?
for me?
Yeah, for you specifically.
Okay, so what I feel like what drew everybody's attention to me was first I kind of like went back to Vine and I started looking through Vine videos and stuff, and I was just like, the energy is not here on TikTok, and I was just like, I need some of that back. So I started looking. Then I found this category called failed freestyles, and I was just like, yo, this is funny. I brought my own version of failed freestyles to TikTok. I brought it to TikTok, and I learned with like, basically I learned you have to strategize how you fail the freestyle, because if you know, like everybody knows it's a failed freestyle, but if you make it like the same format each time, they're going to be like, he's just going to fail the freestyle at the end. It's the same thing. It's nothing different. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So you got to saying somehow. And then from that I wrote that all the way to 500K from 60K, because 60K, I feel like from one follower all the way to 60K, it was kind of just me like BS and, you know, just like, oh, here's a trend I could do. Oh, here's a trend I could do. Then I realized if you stick to trends on TikTok, you're never going to blow the way you want to blow up. You're never going to.
You have to kind of create your own trend. And
you either that, or you just have to bring something different to the game. You have to show people why you're different. Hey, this is why I'm not your average TikToker. You know what I'm saying? Like, just do different. And after the failed freestyles, after I got to 500K, I stopped doing it because I didn't want people to just only want me for that. So I was just like, I'm going to stop doing that. So I started doing middle child skits, and then it turned into me doing a whole lot of other skits. But the middle child skits rode me to 2 million followers.
Wow. That's so awesome. And I will never forget the first time actually the first video I saw of you was it was a video like of an old performance of you doing a duo. And I remember commenting, and I was like, yo, he's doing duo interpretation, and you like that. And that was when you liked it. I was like, I'm gonna follow this kid because he does forensics. I was like, all right, bet. Or he either did forensics or does forensics. And then some of the next videos I saw, I still laugh when I hear those film freestyles. I'm just like, this is so perfect. Like, it's just hilarious. It's just like taking something so, like, I'm a big hip hop fan, you know, and taking something like that and turning it into something funny just makes it amazing. Because it's just, you know, I mean, the game is changing in, you know, music like that for kind of with certain artists, but the overall perspective of hip hop is still kind of the same. The whole, like, I'm hard, I'm a thug, I'm gangsta, and then, like, you come in and you're just like, and then, like, it just totally messes up. It's like, actually, I'm not gangster. Actually, I'm like, and it just has me dying laughing, and it's so perfect. But that's, you know, one big reason why I definitely stayed on you. So I'm curious, you know, I know literally, I'm so positive that anybody who's listening to this automatically knows who you are. But I'm sure people want to know, do you actually rap? Like, do you make music? Do you plan to make music? Is that something of your vibe?
Honestly, a lot of my followers have always said, bro, you should make like a failed freestyle, like little mixtape, like of like short songs, and basically just mess up throughout the song. And they said a lot of people would listen to it. And I always blew it off back then. I was just like, nah, man, that's not what I do. I was just like, I'm a comedian. But then I thought about it, and I was just like, just like literally last week, I was thinking, like, maybe I could do that. Like, maybe I could.
Yes, I think you should. I think it's like, I mean, there's a lot of comedians who do music too. Like, the first person that pops in my head is Bo Burnham, you know, or what's that one guy? I feel bad for not automatically knowing one off the top, but he's like an older guy. He's been doing parodies for years. Whatever his name is. Weird Al Yankovic. Like,
okay.
Yeah, he does a lot of comedy music and stuff, you know. So I think the interesting thing that you could probably change to the game that, you know, hasn't been done that often is, I think a comedian can do a bunch of different things, but do it in a funny way. And I think music could definitely be something that would be good for you.
That's what I was thinking. That's actually pretty lit to think about, honestly. Like, you know what? I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to, like, figure something out for that. That's actually, that's an idea for sure.
You already know. Let me know, and I'm going to be promoting it so hard. I'm like, yo, my boy's doing this hilarious mixtape. It's going to be awesome. It's just perfect, man.
Yeah, most definitely. I can already see it. I can actually make a YouTube video for it and then just drop a snippet on TikTok. Okay.
Yep.
For the whole song, YouTube, and I'll record like a music video with it. That'd be fun. I can already see it.
So my next question is about your actual forensics experience. So what year did you start forensics? Did you do it in middle school, or did you wait until high school? When did you actually get into the game?
I started forensics my sophomore year of high school. That would be like 2016. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay.
And I started off not knowing anything about it until I got into my first competition and realized, oh, this is for real. Like, because you see everybody just like just going into it, and I'm just like, yo, what's going on, man? Like, everybody's just like so focused. Everybody's so competitive. And I'm just sitting here like, man, I was just coming because this was a grade. But I mean, then eventually along the years, once I saw the first ceremony, when I saw everybody handing out trophies and stuff like that, I was like, I want one. Next competition, I placed like third. I think it was because my second competition, you know, you learn a lot about the do-nots in competition. Like, I learned, like, if you're gonna do a piece that somebody has already done, you can't use the movements that they use at all. You can't do that.
True.
Mm-hmm. And I learned that my second competition, because, you know, I did the same piece, but then like one of the judges were like, yo, those movements look familiar. And then they placed me third because they were just like, those are the same. Otherwise, you would have had first place. And I was just like, dang. So here goes my third actual competition. I go in there, I have my own piece, and I make all my own movements. My coach told me that my piece was garbage. He literally told me that, but I placed second place.
Okay.
He told me my piece was garbage. So then I realized, maybe my coach isn't right all the time. So,
You're not wrong. Yeah. I think, man, you said so many things that I want to comment on. So,
go ahead.
first, yes, to everybody listening, your coach is not always right. Like, I think that sometimes we get lost in the sauce and we think like, oh, my coach is the all-seeing, like, god of forensics, and that's totally not true. Even your best coaches of all time are still not that. Like, when we coach, it's literally just that. It's basically a suggestion. It's like, this is what I think is going to take your piece to the top, and you can either, use that, take it with a grain of salt, figure out what's going to be the perfect implement to make your piece come alive with your style and your trajectory. And I love your experience through forensics because it was the same as mine. My first category that I did in 8th grade was poetry, and I literally went in with this poem that I wrote about this girl that I basically felt like I was in love with, like in middle school. And for poetry, the max was like, or for back when I was doing it, the max was 8 minutes. So I literally came up there. I did like a 1 minute and 15-second poem and sat down, and everybody else basically they took the entire time frame, and I'm just like, okay, I guess I got to figure this out. And I came in the next time everybody calls it different, but we got to the power round. That's what we call it, which is kind of breaking for those who don't know. But I got to the power round. I didn't place. And then I just kept trying to do better and get, farther from that. So it's definitely something where you kind of learn and you're like, oh man, I got hit and now I got to figure out how I'm going to get better. And the most interesting thing I think you said that some people might be a little confused about is you said you went to the tournament and you were like, oh, I'm just trying to get a grade. So I think a lot of people, it depends on what state you're in, because in Wisconsin, I'm originally from Wisconsin, even though right now I'm living in Cali. Like, you don't really get a grade for forensics. It's just the after school activity. That's it. So question. So where are you from? Like hometown, and where did you do forensics? And so you actually got a grade? Was it pass fail? Was it ABCD? What there?
Okay, so I'm from Clarksville, Tennessee, and in Clarksville, Tennessee, I went to West Creek High School. Actually, let me correct myself real quick, backtracking a little bit. I started junior year, not sophomore year. I thought about it because
wow.
I started junior year. Okay, so going forward, I was in Synergy Studios, and it was a part of Theater 3. Basically, when you sign the contract to be a part of Theater 3, you're agreeing to be after school and go to competitions and stuff. And it was a part of a grade, but at the same time, he was like, if you want to be a Theater 3, you're gonna try. You're gonna try. Get out. And I was just like, all right, I'm trying. So, it was required. Nice. If you're a Theater 4, 3 to 3 and 3 to 4, it was required. So that was experience, and it was just like mind blowing. What else did you say, by the way? What else did you ask?
Was it pass fail or was it like A B C D? How was the grading system?
Okay, it was like a A B C D, but actually he'd grade like number wise, like based on your performance.
Okay.
So he would look at your performance, and if you look like you didn't try, straight up F. If you look like you don't care when you're performing, straight up F. If you're not moving, if you're just straight up D straight up.
That's real. I mean, you definitely gotta try if you're doing this. There's no point in doing this activity if you're not gonna actually try. So my next question is, I know a lot of people depending on what you call it, some people call it forensic, some people call it speech and debate. I've gotten to the point where I use that term just like the same, like they're just nothing. So when you think of speech and debate, a lot of people think of debate automatically because they, for some reason, I guess that's the first thing that pops in their head. So I am curious to know. I think the audience would like to know: did you ever have any aspirations for debate? Did you do any debate, like Lincoln Douglas policy, anything like that? Did you ever give it a try?
So I never actually went into debate because debate, from my theater class, debate was its own like category. Basically, like, well, not category. Debate was for like, well, Coach Silvers, he had a debate class. He had a debate class, and it was optional to join that debate class. And I never wanted to get into it because I was just like, I want to be an actor. I'm not into the debating perspective, you know, like,
Okay.
and I guess I just never took that opportunity because I was too scared to want to know what it was like, what it was like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was afraid to be, you know.
That,
But
that totally makes sense. So that yeah, thank you for that. I know a lot of people might be wondering that. And I think the next thing I think people are probably wondering is like about you. You know, what I guess the best way to word the question is what are you going to do now? Now that I feel like you've had a great amount of success on TikTok, you're transferring that to other realms. Like, what's in the future for you? Do you have any intentions on like actually, going to Hollywood, starting to act, or do you want to keep it more of an online presence? Like with YouTube and stuff. Like, what's your next step?
my next step is to go to YouTube, but my final goal is to be acting on movies and stuff like that. I feel like that is my final goal, like to act on
Okay.
movies. But before I go to any of those two, what I really want to do, and I've been thinking about this for a while, I want to bring Duo Enter to TikTok, but not use anybody else's pieces. I want to create my own pieces and bring it to TikTok. And basically, not using anybody else's pieces, I don't have to worry about anybody like copyrighting it, anybody being like, yo, that's my piece. Why is he doing that on TikTok? Blah, blah, blah. None of that. Create my own pieces, show my own artistic style, and, show people why I deserve to be here on this platform, why I have the platform that I have. So
I like
I have
that.
actually, the partner that you saw in that video, he's in the other room right there. I've been talking to him lately, and we're going to get into it,
Okay. So, when you say your partner, is that like your brother, cousin? I don't know, like, or is that a roommate? Are you still in Tennessee, actually?
Yes, I'm still in Tennessee, and you could call him a brother, but he's like a really, really close friend. Like me and
Okay.
him, yeah, we were friends before theater. Before theater, we were friends before theater, and we both got into it. Then I don't know, it just became a love from that point on, and then we just started being partners because we have the best chemistry together.
Definitely.
Like partner with somebody who doesn't want to have that chemistry with you when you're performing a piece, like. He has that chemistry. Like, I could slap him in the face and we could keep going, like, type of deal. Like,
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing is that the hardest thing that makes duo like the thing that's about duo that makes it a tough category is you have to find a person you have that synergy with, because if you don't, then you start to like it's hard to like coordinate practices, and you're both feeling like you need to do different things, and it starts to turn into like a relationship that's never going to truly thrive. And I think that it's really interesting because there's a lot of positives about something like duo, then there's those negatives too, like so I think I know so many people when they do duo, they also usually double or triple enter in categories. And I think it's the first person that pops in my head is Keenan and Kel for some reason.
yeah,
And like there was a period in the 90s and maybe early 2000s where Keenan and Kel were like, they were inseparable. It was always Keenan and Kel, boom, boom, boom. And, there was that period where Keenan decided to basically like kind of not necessarily, cut off the ties in a negative way, but be like, hey, I need to do my own thing because I don't always want to be Keenan and Kel. And I think that can be a negative sometimes about doing a thing like duo or PF debate or whatever a duo type of category is, because you're always going to be known with that person. So a lot of people try to find, like, I'm doing duo, but let me also do HI so I can be known as, myself and still funny, and I still have my own quirks and things there. And I think that that's a very important thing to think about. Like, what do you want that future relationship to be? And do you want to stay, quote unquote, connected to that person forever? And I don't think that that affects you, because you're known as Gosimmie. Like, it's
Yeah,
not Gosimmie and Bob or whatever.
right.
Yeah, you got your own thing. And if you want to do stuff with other people, you can.
That was the most important. I feel like what you said right there is very important. Like, if anybody out there, like, they want to start off their career, I say, if you're really wanting to start off a career and you don't want to be like known as this person and this person, you need to start off by yourself. You need to start
Yeah,
off by build a personality for yourself before you add anybody to the mix. You know what I'm saying? Like,
very
because if
true.
you add anybody to the mix, I mean, it can work sometimes. If you don't mind that, go ahead for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But like, if you are the person that I am, like, you might want to start by yourself. Give yourself a
yeah.
shot.
And like you said, some people it can be okay. Like first people that pop in my head is Jake and Demir, who are like some college humor. I think that they're probably the most hilarious duo of all time. And I think that they will forever be known as Jake and Demir. Like, everything they do is together, from the college humor acting skits to their podcasts and all the other stuff they do. I think they're always going to be that group together. So it's really interesting to see somebody live throughout that life and have that quote unquote almost business partner that they have to kind of keep for the rest of their lives, which is really interesting, but an interesting concept. So you got to be okay with it. You got to know, like you said, if that's the route that you want to go. But it's probably, as you said, best to look at it from an individual perspective and see if that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Man, like I said, man, I did not want to take too much of your time with the podcast. I am so happy that you were able to come on. I think that you were able to give a lot of insight, and considering, how, like, I preach speech and debate and forensics so much, because I think that there's so many routes that you can go down. Like, kids, like, you can be president, you can be
Yeah.
famous TikTok person, you can be a lawyer, you can be a doctor. Like, speech and debate has an impact on all of those things. Like, speech and debate in its essence is literally just communication. It's performing, it's being in front of people and showing the world something, whether it's educational in its essence, whether it's comical, whether it's serious or whatever. So I absolutely love that I have somebody that is probably a little bit more comical than most guests that I've had on the podcast. And
Right.
it really makes my day to be able to show kids that, yeah, speech and debate can help you do that too.
Oh, yeah.
So a big thank you to Gosimmie for coming on the podcast. I think it's absolutely amazing to have him here. So to everybody who's listening, you know the deal. Make sure you give this podcast 5 stars on the podcast app. Like it, share with your friends. There's so many people that need to learn more about speech and debate, and hopefully this podcast will be able to help them get all the insights they need to be a productive speech and debater. So yeah, like, as you know, make sure you can contact me in the DMs. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on all that stuff. So hit me up, guys. Let's talk more. And if you need to hit up Gosimmie, how can they get in contact with you?
Honestly, you guys can get in contact with me through my DMs as well. My DMs on Instagram. Like, if it's spam DMs, like, I feel like in order to catch my attention in your DMs, you have to get straight to the point. Like, you have to get straight to the point to when I look through them. But if you just start out with a hey, I might skim past it. So if you go straight into it and tell me what you're afraid about, or just tell me what you want to know, go ahead. Hit me in my DMs on Instagram at Gosimmie.
Awesome. Now you guys know, if you want to reach out to him, you need some advice, you need some help, anything to talk to him about. He's obviously a true forensics expert, and he can help you in any realm with that if you want to know more. Or if you want to know more about TikTok or anything else he's doing, feel free to hit him up. But don't give him that hey, because if that stuff doesn't work on Tinder, it's not going to work on Instagram either. So, all right, y'all. Thank you so much again to Gosimmie for being on, and I will catch you all later. Peace out.